everybody. I am here today with Erica Halverson she's the CEO and founder of Tiny E Paper Company, a hemp paper revolutionary. Amazing. Hi, Erica.
Hello, how are you?
I am well. How's it going
Good.
today?
I'm doing well. When I wanted to be the hemp paper queen, and I've got my whirling crown on right now.
You do. You really do. I love it. It looks great and it's befitting.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, let's just get right to it. Tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, first off, what a crazy world we're in right now. So just like big elephant in the room, there's a lot to talk about, but things are going really well right now. Tiny ePaper was formed about 2.5 years ago now, and went through Prohibition and got to the Farm Bill, thought a lot was going to be changing. Not a lot changed in a lot of ways. And so still it's been a struggle, but within the last 3 months, things have really started going gangbusters. And it's odd to say that in the middle of a pandemic that's going on. But in a lot of ways, I think coronavirus has been one of the best things to happen to the cannabis industry.
Hasn't it though?
So it's been very interesting. Yeah, to go from talking about how we're going to shut down the black market to now being an essential business. That's a pretty big turnaround within literally days.
It's a huge
and it's fantastic.
Indeed. So
Yeah.
what led you to this journey? Tell me about your motivation in cannabis.
Yeah. So first off, it started with cannabis. I have a personal passion for cannabis. This is a medicine for me. It continues to be a wellness product for me every single day. It is an important part of my life. And that's where my passion comes from. Well, I started working in the cannabis industry. And when I got to marry my professional career with something I was personally passionate about, that was it for me. I knew that I was never going to not work in the cannabis industry again. And at the time, I was working for the largest vaporizer companies, both on the cannabis and the nicotine side at the time, Juul and Pax. And when I left that company, because at the time they were the same company, I knew that I wanted to stay in cannabis. I knew that I wanted to do something that made a difference. I didn't just want to go work for a cannabis company, and that was my claim to being in the cannabis industry. And about 2 weeks after I left Juul and Pax, I had a serendipitous happy hour conversation with a friend of mine. And she had just got her doctorate degree and had gotten the hardbound cover or version of her dissertation. And it never dawned on me to ask her what her dissertation was about in the midst of her graduating in this big celebration of things. And she said, well, it's about the social and economic reasons on why we need to stop using trees for paper and switch over to hemp. And a light bulb went off in my head because we had been friends for about 2-3 years. She knew I smoked cannabis. She never, ever made the correlation to talk to me about her entire project having to do with hemp paper or hemp. Never even dawned on her. And that's when I came to the realization of why hemp paper has not been selling to regular consumers. Regular consumers don't, get the correlation between cannabis and hemp and understanding that they are cousin plants coming from the same seed and they're part of the same family.
Right.
And or they don't understand that cannabis and hemp are not the same plant. And you can't roll up a piece of hemp paper and smoke it and get stoned. And so when they can't get past those two things, you can't even get to a purchase consideration. And with the cannabis folks, I don't even need to worry about that. If you don't understand the difference between hemp and cannabis and you're in the cannabis industry, I know for a fact you are not going to be in the cannabis industry that long. So that's why when I put 2 and 2 together, I'm like, wait a second. Not only regular consumers aren't buying hemp paper, nobody's making hemp paper for the cannabis industry. And that's what really blew my mind. And I literally did 2 weeks of research trying to find anybody in the world, anybody, any company, anybody, prove me wrong that I am not the first person to think of this. And I couldn't find anybody in the world. And then started thinking about the waste that comes from our industry and CBD waste. And what are they doing with that? And found out, they don't know what to do with that, and started doing research on that. And when I was able to figure out that I can use CBD waste also to make my paper out of, and again, I don't see anybody doing that anywhere. That's when Tiny e-Paper was born, because then my mission became clear. How I could change the world in this industry became clear. My path became clear. And that's when literally got my business license, Tiny e-Paper was born, and I've been hitting the ground running ever since.
That's excellent. I mean, and it is a revolutionary approach to an existing issue that we have, which is what happens to the waste.
Yes.
Everyone is very focused on the front end of cannabis and hemp, but on the back end, we've got a recyclable material, and you're putting that to good use. Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
Well, and on the other side too, they're just really thinking about the flower part of the plant.
Indeed.
They're not thinking about the plant holistically, and there's way more than the top of the plant that is available. We can even use the root ball for things.
Right.
So that's what I'm also trying to get the industry, and not really the industry, because I think a lot of us are already thinking holistically plant-wise, but get everybody else, like investors, I can't even get to realize that there is value in the stocks, there's value in the waste, there's value in everything about this plant.
Exactly. Let's roll back just a bit. Tell me what the personal effects of cannabis in your life. Tell me some things about how does it affect you personally?
Yeah, so it's a really crazy story when you listen to it on the base. I lost about 100 pounds using cannabis, and that's how it changed my life. And I have now been able to keep all the weight off using whatever methods I've been using, but cannabis has been a big part of that. I didn't understand why for the longest time. Why am I smoking these sativa strains, sativa African strains of cannabis, and I'm having appetite suppressant things going on?
Yes.
And I started losing weight and started doing things. And now we have been able to isolate a cannabinoid, THCV, and they know now that it has appetite suppressant qualities in it. And now that makes sense to me, and it just happens to be dominant in African sativa strains, which are one of my favorite strains. So we're coming full circle to have this plant affect me in a way and not understand it at the start, but know that it was doing something. And then to finally be able to get the education to understand what it was doing, and what now learning about my own endocannabinoid system and how that works. It's that journey for me has been life changing. And I will always, always have a love affair for this plant just because of what it's been able to do for my own life. And that's honestly where my passion comes from. And now I'm not in the weight. I don't have to worry about my weight anymore. Thank God. Like, I feel very blessed for that. But now it is a wellness medicine for me. Right. I use it for stress relief. I use it for just uplifting my spirits. I use it as a marketing person and as a creative person to get my juices flowing. I use it as a way to go and commiserate with friends and get together with people and just go and relax and smoke a joint together. And so that's now what this medicine and what this plant means to me in my life. I live every day with this plant in my life, and I love it.
That's awesome. I always like to ask the question because, it is our personal experiences with cannabis that shape the industry, because the industry originally was a community. And that being said, our personal stories really do matter when it comes to shaping what this industry is going to look like over the next years.
Absolutely.
And I love to hear that.
Thank you. And I love telling that story as well. And what I found is the people that have those stories are the right people to be working with. If you find somebody in this industry and they have, why do you love cannabis? Well, I don't know. I like to smoke weed. They will not be in this industry very long. It's just how it works. You've got to have passion behind the plant.
Yeah, you really do. It's just one of those types of things where it really does not only come in handy, but it is the fueling force. Yep. So excellent. Okay. Well, let's see. Talk to me about your social media. Tell me how you're marketing for Tiny e-Paper. How are you getting people to listen?
Great question. So I have definitely had a strategy behind, for the last 2.5 years, I have had a strategy behind every single post the timing of when I started talking about things, when I started introducing product that I was doing, when I announced I was doing certain things. And my ultimate goal has been trying to build myself as an influencer. That's why I don't just always talk about Tiny E. I talk a lot about what is going on as far as research, what we're learning about the industry, what we're learning about different cannabinoids, and getting down to the science of things, and trying to set myself up as somebody that people can go to when they want to have a different point of view. I have one point of view about what's going on in this industry. And through that, I've built up an okay base of following. I've been very impressed with the support I've gotten. Now that I've started being able to prove concepts out, I have been very diligent about how and when I've been announcing those. Right now, we are in a nascent category, cannabis, nascent category out there. I'm making a nascent product in that category group. I don't have any historical data to go on as far as run rates. I don't have any sense of where my true demand is. I don't have a sense of how to forecast. If I don't forecast correctly with my raw material supplier, who can then tell my pulper how much to pulp, who can then tell my paper mill how many rolls to make, and then I need to know how many rolls to make at different stock weights for different projects, for different things that people want at the end use. Excuse me. If I don't forecast that all correctly, I'm not going to have enough, or I might have too much material at the end to be able to do what everybody needs.
Right.
So how do I create those numbers when they don't exist? And so that's why I've been making these strategic product announcements. Every time I prove a concept and I get that out on social media, I get engagements back, whether it's views of a video or a post, whether it's likes, comments. I get direct messages with questions about availability. Can you do this stock weight? I need 10,000 of these in 3 months. Can you do it? All of that is giving me data and information. And I am using all of that to make strategy decisions about products I come out with next, about which types of concepts to prove, about how I'm going to forecast, and about what type of manufacturers I'm vetting now. Now I need to know, I need to find a box manufacturer and a tissue paper manufacturer and a food box manufacturer. And the type of manufacturers that make those products are not always going to be the same manufacturer. So it's a different vetting process for each of them. So that's been the base of all of my social media, is to try to build myself so I've got an audience that's already watching me and trying to figure out what I'm doing next. And then I've also got, I need the data collection part. I need to understand, I need to make the right products. I need to make the right amount of them. I need to have the right number of suppliers in the right parts of the region as well. And if I don't do something to get that data, it's not going to come find me. So those have been my two strategies as far as my social media plan.
Excellent. No, that's great. And I like the idea that you like to consider yourself an influencer. If nothing else, you're an influencer. You're an influencer for your own product, which what can be better than that, right? And then on top of that, you're also influencing data collection for your specific genre, your niche, which you've already researched and found that no one else is doing. So that works there. So maybe next on the horizon is a little book of strategy for you, all done on hemp paper.
You never know.
Right? That could be amazing. So tell me this, what have been some of the greatest challenges? Oftentimes people, when just getting out into the cannabis industry, regardless of what it is that we do, met with challenges, stigma, things like that, friends, family. Talk to me about your experiences there.
Yeah, and I will tell you, this is one of my favorite questions to answer. And I am very transparent about it. My biggest challenge has been having boobs, being a woman. That is it. And it's not my only challenge by any means, but it is the biggest, every day it is the biggest challenge that I have to deal with still to this day. And it's down to when I was trying to find the people that could do what I needed to do with my hemp, even getting to 100% hemp paper, just trying to find people to answer my phone call, to listen to me, to take me seriously. And then, especially when I was trying to find money, the fundraising part is hellacious for women. It is hellacious. And the patting on my head, the getting told I'm cute as I'm trying to have a serious conversation about getting my company off the ground. And My company's called Tiny E. I'm Tiny E. I am a tiny person. Tiny E was a nickname my dad gave me as a little girl, so it actually means a lot to me. And because I'm also very small, people think that they have a right to prop their elbow on top of my head as a headrest at an investment seminar. It's things like that that I have to deal with every single day. And it's all of our challenge. Like I'm preaching to the choir right now.
No, it's true. Being a woman in the cannabis industry, and I hear this all the time. I've been in the cannabis industry space for almost 3 decades myself, 27 years. And all the stories from women that I hear all the time, it's the same tune. There's some level of misogyny in there. And then also on top of it, some level of acceptance of that from others, maybe who didn't participate, but they didn't do anything to help or stop either. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a personal goal of mine to really help. That's why I like to showcase women in their stories and the things that we do in this industry, because we deserve a platform. So
absolutely.
Yeah, completely.
And don't get me wrong, I do not hate men.
Of course
and
not.
some people, I've had some women even misinterpret my viewpoints on this. I don't hate men at all. Most of my business partners in my company are men. We need men. I love men. I literally love men. Like that is not what I'm about. And we can be pro-woman and not be anti-male at the same time. Absolutely. And I want to make that absolutely clear as well.
Yeah, no, and it's great that you clarify that. But because there are people who out there who don't understand the difference between inclusion and being against something. Mm-hmm. Not that anyone is against either of the sexes. It's just that we should live in equality, especially when it comes to business.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, definitely it's an ongoing issue, and it's going to take all of us to change things. And by all of us, I mean men and women. So definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I'm doing my part to try to be equal as well. Because if I don't treat myself equal, I'm not going to be treated equal by men. So, and this is my personal opinion. I am not knocking anybody that makes this choice. I do not call myself out as a woman-owned business. I don't. I have never done that, and I never will. I feel that it's clearly obvious I'm a woman. I don't need to restate that because I've already got that as a challenge. So the more that I focus on being a woman, the more that everybody else will. And if I just do my thing like I would normally do, just like the guys are, then that's how I'm going to be seen. And again, I understand why there are a lot of women who do say women-owned business. That's fantastic. We need those women as well. This is just a personal decision that I've made.
Absolutely. And everybody is allowed to make their choice, for sure. Absolutely. And I understand your point of view, for sure. Men do not have to go, well, this is a male-owned business. Yep. It's just a business, and we really need to work towards it's just a business. That is a part of the equality that I'm talking about, is not having to label something. We don't need to label it Black, person of color, women. We just need to acknowledge that there's accomplishments there, right?
Yes.
So that's the bigger picture of it all, for sure. For sure. How about stigma? Do you ever find friends, family, anyone just going, well, that's the cannabis industry. I don't know, I'm not so sure about that. I know that's a challenge of mine. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so interesting that the woman that I told you about her dissertation with hemp paper, and we had that conversation that kind of got my whole idea going. I originally asked her to be my business partner. I asked her because she helped me come up with this idea. She had a lot of the research on her side as far as hemp paper and why and things like that I thought would be useful. And this was still before Prop 64 passed in California, and cannabis was still illegal. And I put a task to her. I said, well, if we're going to do this and go into business together, you need to understand who our customer base is. And our customer base is going to be customers in the cannabis industry. So here's what we're going to do as homework. I'm going to help you take the 10 minutes to get your cannabis license. Easy. Get your medical card so you can go into a dispensary. And then we're going on a dispensary tour. I want you to go see the packaging that's in there. I want you to see the receipts and the bags that they hand out, because all of that is paper we can switch over. And she refused. She said, I don't want to be a part of you weed people. I don't want to be a druggie. And that's when I said, you know what? Then you can't be in my company. And that's when I severed ties with her. So yeah, still getting that out there. And even with my family, it took me a while to talk openly with my family. It wasn't until my uncle, my mom's brother, made it clear that he was smoking cannabis because he had back issues and it was helping him and it was a medicine to him. And damn you all, I'm going to bring my weed here. And if you have a problem with it, I don't care. And that was my door open. That was my door open. And that was my, really, that was my last kind of like wall as far as stigma to break down. Anybody that knows me and follows me knows I'm pretty loud and proud. When I made the decision to work in this industry, I felt it was my responsibility to be an advocate as well as part of my purpose in this role. If we are not advocates for ourselves, somebody else is going to be advocating for us. And I don't want it to be somebody like the pharmaceutical industry or the government or people that don't understand what we're doing and why. And so that's kind of where my stigma ended. Is anybody that knows me, I'm wearing my cannabis earrings. I have cannabis pants I wear. I have a cannabis face mask for COVID right now. I am loud and proud. And if you have a problem with me having cannabis in my life, then you have a problem with me and I have a problem with you. And it just doesn't matter to me. So that's kind of where my stigma went away.
Amen to that. Well, tell me this, what's next? What's next for Erica? What's next for Tiny E-Paper?
Yeah, so this is the exciting part. So what's next is I finally get to hit the green light on everything. I am in the final vetting stage of my new commercial paper mill. I've got actually 2 paper mills I'm vetting right now, so I have to get them some pulp samples to go play with. I have a brand new printer that I'm vetting out, and then I have those end-use manufacturers for the end-use product, like the boxes, the toilet paper, the bags, things like that. All of those are going to be different manufacturers. And so the pulping process, vet process has just been completed. Now I'm vetting the paper mill, vetting the printer and vetting manufacturers, and then it's off to the races. I'm going to start taking pre-orders. I'm going to be very transparent about this stuff all over social media. So when I'm ready, you guys will know I'm ready. And that's really the next step for me. That's when everything changes for me.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've never been so freaking excited and challenged at the same time. And it's great.
It's the challenge that remains exciting. I'm going to tell you that much, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing all of your journey with us. Tell us about where we can reach you on social media.
Yeah, so I do everything on my personal side, Erica Halverson, and on the Tiny E side. So you can look me up on LinkedIn, either by Tiny E Paper Company or by myself, Erica Halverson. My email is erica@tinyepaper.com if you want to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook as well, Instagram. I'm all over.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for spending time with us. You have a great day.
Thank you, you as well.